My new book, Pillars for Life, A Guide to Spiritual Ethics and Practice, is now out and available for you to read and purchase. You can check out our website, willowhealing.org, to find a link, or you can find it on Amazon. We look forward to getting your feedback, and if you love it, please leave a review and share with your friends. Now it's time for the show. Welcome to Willow Healing Matters, the podcast. We are so excited to have you joining us on this journey where we explore different ways to empower your soul, whether it's healing in your kitchen or all the way up in the corporate world. Come with us as we look into different ways to heal your mind, body, and soul. Hey everyone, it's Catherine Cristati with another episode of Willow Healing Matters, and today I'm joined by the lovely Shannon Whaley. She has been coaching for 10 years and has multiple credentials and letters to share. She got sober in 2013 and her entire life changed. She would not be where she is today if she had not quit drinking and partying. Shannon works to help people build business and make more money, but is also helping people connect to themselves in a deeper way, share their stories, and several of her clients have gotten to recovery during their time together. So a big welcome to the anti-hustle business coach, Shannon.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So I guess, your life started with lots of partying, lots of drinking. What
Mhm.
was the moment where you actually went, this needs to change and I can't do this to my body anymore?
Yeah, there were actually a couple of events that happened, and it was just kinda one thing after another, and I had also been trying to quit for at least a decade where I would take breaks, or I think the longest that I had was about 9 months, where I just wasn't using, but I wasn't actually in recovery, like, I wasn't doing anything to change my habits or thoughts or beliefs or anything, or address the trauma as to why I was drinking and partying as much. Um, but I had in 2013, I was living in Seattle and I moved to the Cayman Islands. And I was working there as a waitress at a sushi restaurant. And I brought all of my drinking habits with me. And so I don't know if you've ever been on vacation in like a tropical location where it's all drinking and partying, and then you go back home and you go back to your normal life. That's fun and all, but then that was my whole entire life. Like when you live on a Caribbean island and you're in the party scene, that vacation just becomes an everyday thing and it gets really old.
Mhm.
And there were a couple moments where it just wasn't fun anymore. I was blacking out really quickly. I was getting like I was mean. I became like a mean drunk. Before I was like the party, everyone loved being around me and um the life of the party. And then towards the end it was that I was like looking for fights and just starting shit. And I had passed out. I knew that I wasn't feeling well at one of the beach clubs. And so I left the party. I didn't tell anybody where I was going. And I passed out at a bus stop. Um,
Mm.
and yeah, and woke up. I have no idea how long I was there. Um, and I mean, obviously, that's quite dangerous. But I had heard stories on the island of women just disappearing without a trace, like never to be heard from again. And so it was stories like that. And then once I had done that, I was like, I really need to rein this in. Like, this is not okay. Um, and there were a couple other instances where yeah, I was mean. I was really mean to my roommate at the time, and we were like just starting a relationship, and he was sober. And so I was blacked out and really mean to him. And I was like, this is horrible. Like, I'm a horrible person when I'm drinking. So it was a bunch of things throughout the years.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
almost like you got to that point where almost I feel like the drinking wasn't giving you the reaction you wanted from people, like being the happy party person. And then
Yeah.
so instead we had to trigger people through anger.
Right. Well, and that's the thing, and I was thinking about this because my 12 years is coming up in October, and I've been reminiscing. I am also turning 46 here in a couple of weeks, and I've been reminiscing about, like, the past and, the fun times and then the not so fun times, and there was a time when it was fun, like, we would go out to the bars and we would have, drink with friends and, we'd do drugs but, like, it was, like, at a rave, so we were all dancing to house music and stuff, and, like, it was fun, and then there was a point where it just wasn't fun anymore, but I didn't stop, and that's where the problem is, and I know a lot of people that I used to party with and they're still drinking and partying, right? Like, they never decided to stop but it was like I miss the fun times, but it got not fun. But then I didn't know how to be in public with people. Like, I didn't know how to
Mhm.
have fun without pre-gaming and having some drinks. And I eventually stopped doing the drugs before I stopped doing the alcohol, but it was like, then my alcohol use just increased. Cause I was like, what? I don't know how to dance. I don't know how to be in public. I don't know how to. And then, like, when you're happy, you celebrate and you drink. When you're sad, you commiserate and you drink. Like, everything, and especially on the island, like, it's such a huge drinking culture, and you can't get away from it.
Yeah. And I feel that such a important contrast too, because even someone was asking, someone I was following on Instagram was like, "Hey, should we also provide nice non-alcoholic cocktails for people at parties?" I was like, "Yes." I said,
Yeah.
I choose not to drink because my body doesn't process it well,
Yeah.
and I get really bored drinking water all the time. Sometimes I
Mhm.
want a nice, I want a nice mocktail,
Yeah.
and I get really excited when I go somewhere and they have them. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can have something other than water. And it's not about the whole stigma of like drinking. It's actually, I just want a different option other than, soft drink, which I don't drink, or water. So
Or
it's like,
yeah, or
yeah.
like juice. Like, okay, we have like orange juice. It's like,
And
can you have other like non-toddler drinks? Like, can I have like can
apple
I
and guava, that'd be
yeah,
great.
right? Can I get like a fun straw with it too? Like, we'll just top it off.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because culture, we talk about like exactly what you said. When you're happy, you go have a drink. When you're sad, you go have a drink. There's this
Mhm.
society in that culture, but as you said, to be in that Caribbean island all the time and that like embodied in that, it'd be incredibly hard to sober up because you're constantly immersed in that culture and in that
Mhm.
it's just usurped you really. Like that is the
Yeah.
ultimate test to try and become sober doing that too,
It
because
was
it's just yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, no, it was quite difficult, and I became a hermit because I was like, I can't leave the house. Like, you can't go do anything. And then also because it's such a small island. And so I imagine like people who are in like small cities and stuff would feel the same way. Like, if you go to your favorite restaurant, they know you as the person who's ordering a bunch of shots, right? So like they don't know this new version of you. So when you go to new place or like your old places where you want to hang out and there's pressure to drink. Sometimes they're a bunch of jerks and they're mocking you for drinking water and right, or they don't want to make virgin mojitos because it's a pain in the ass drink to make, right? But they're delicious. And so yeah, just having to completely change where I was hanging out, when I was going out, and I really I don't know if you follow human design, but I'm a hermit anyway, so I'm a 2/4 projector. So I was like, perfect. Now I don't have to leave the house.
Thank you, human design and sobriety.
Yeah. Hey, man, I'm just following my design. I'm supposed to be just like at home chilling out. So we're just going to do that.
Ah, so did you end up having to move away from the island to start to step more into yourself, or did you just think, stuff it, I'm going to do my own thing anyway.
Yeah, I white knuckled it. So also one of the reasons that so there's like lots of different, like obviously my drinking was a problem. It was dangerous, but then it was like I wasn't healthy. Like I was doing yoga challenges and I was trying to go to the gym and trying to, get back in shape. And as soon as you have a drink, your macros for the day are wiped out, right? So like you can't put alcohol into your macros and burn it all off. So I was like, well, from a fitness perspective. And then it was also out of spite too, because there were so many people in Seattle who wanted to see me fail. And I knew that if I didn't stop drinking, that I was going to have to leave the island because there was no way that I could stay there. And so, I white knuckled it. I got really into the gym. I went through yoga teacher training. I kind of piecemealed my recovery together because I knew that like 12 steps in AA wasn't for me. And so I used like a mixture of fitness and, just like personal development books I was reading. Oh gosh, I can't remember the name of the book. It like The Monk Who Drove a Ferrari. Do you know that? Who wrote that
Oh,
book?
yes. You keep talking. I'll look it up quickly.
Okay, okay.
Because
So
it's on my Spotify audiobook
okay.
list.
I just happened to come across his book, and I don't think maybe it was that one, but it was one of the other books that he had written. And so I was just kind of, so it
Robin
was like,
Sharma, The
yes,
5 a.m.
yes,
Club. Was it The
yes.
5 a.m. Club? Yes.
It,
Yeah.
it
I
wasn't
love
that
that
book,
book.
but there
Yeah.
were other like um books that he had written that just like really, really landed for me.
I love
And
how he writes. I love how he writes.
yeah,
If
very
anyone's listening to
personal.
this, go pick up a Robin Sharma book, how he constructs ideas and puts them across. I read The 5 a.m. Club and I could not, actually, I listened to it on audiobook and I could not stop listening to it. I was so hooked by it, and just how he explains habits and constructs and things like
Mhm.
that. So powerful. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to look up which one I read because it was quite powerful. So, Who Will Cry When You Die was the one that I
Oh,
read because it hit me like a ton of bricks because it's like, what am I doing with my life? I was 34 when I was getting sober, and I was like, I have a degree in psychology. I had gone back to school and was a drug and alcohol counselor for a bunch of years before I got back into partying. And, I was like, maybe a quarter life is a little bit much, but like I was in this like crisis period, right? Where it was like, what am I doing with my life? Like, there's got to be more than this. Like, I'm meant for so much more than this. And so, between that, I mean, I lived at the beach. Instead of going and doing things with people, I would just go read on the beach. Women for Sobriety, Dharma Recovery. So, like I said, just like piecing things together. So I was like, I refuse to go back home with my tail between my legs. I didn't, and like the way that I kind of think about things is like, what chapter in my book, like what do I want this chapter in my book to look like? So if I were to write a book, which it's my plan to write at least a book,
it's
but like
in the process. Yeah.
it's in here, yeah. But like I don't want this chapter to be that I had to fucking pack up and go home because I couldn't get a hold of my drinking. I want this part of the book to be that I overcame, and that like this is a much better story that I stopped drinking and completely changed my life than like this chapter would suck if I had to go back to Seattle. So that
And
was
keep
really what
drinking.
kind.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I would definitely keep drinking. And I just knew too, like if I don't stop this, and if I had to go back to Seattle, because then I had access to drugs again, I don't know if I'd be alive. Like I don't know the amount that I was using, the way that I was using. Now there's so much fentanyl and everything. Yeah, I just don't know if I would be alive. So that is a long answer to no. I did not have to leave the island. I
Well
stayed
done.
put and I really buckled down. Yeah, and I was really fortunate at the time that my boyfriend that I was living with, he had been sober for I don't know, like 15 years or something. So I also had a really good influence with him. So I wasn't fully alone.
Yeah, which is it really helps when you have somebody on your side because I think,
Mhm.
sometimes when you make decisions that are against the culture and society, it can be helpful if you have at least one person that's on your side so you
Yeah,
don't feel so alone, because often it's
absolutely.
that disconnectedness that is what does us in the end more than making the decision in the first place because we just want that connection.
100%. Yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
where was that anti-hustle coach born from this? Well, because you basically
Yeah.
hustled to stay sober.
So like I said, like I had a degree in psychology, and when I graduated from college, so I graduated in 2001, and I wanted to help women and girls live bigger, bolder, better lives. Just like that was pretty much what I wanted to do. But coaching didn't exist back then. It was Tony Robbins, it was like executive coaching, and so I went on a different path. Once I realized, so I was in Danielle Laporte's Facebook group. She wrote oh gosh, I can't even remember this is my perimenopause brain where I can't think of titles of books anymore. The Desire Map. So this was how I started to learn about coaching and realize like this is exactly what I wanted to be doing when I graduated from college. How do I do this? So I actually hired a coach to help me pick out a coach training program because I had no idea. And I went through coach training and I thought that I was going to just be kind of a general life coach. And in turn, so I had to learn how to market, I had to learn how to do all of the businessy stuff. And I was like, this is really fun. And I was really good at it. And so I just kind of turned into, and well, I actually had a dream that I was a marketing coach. And I woke up out of a dead sleep and I was like, that's it. That's what I'm going to be doing. So, like I said, so it was like Danielle Laporte. Back then it was Gabby Bernstein. Who else? Forleo, Marie Forleo, Amy Porterfield. So all of these like really big marketers were telling us how to build our businesses, but they weren't telling us how big of a team they had, how big of an ad spend they had, how many hours they were
Mm.
actually working. And so what they were teaching us was actually leading so many of us to burnout. And I did B school, like I went through, and Amy Porterfield was the bonus that I got, right? And so like I was taking in all of this information and I was like, this is, first of all, information overload. Second of all, I don't need these things to make money, and I can't afford half of the shit that they're telling me that I need to have, right, in order to build a business.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, I'll do as much as I can. And like I ended up burning myself out, but I was actually quite successful. So the problem with hustling is that it works until you're so
Mhm.
burnt out that you fold and you've just like replicated corporate America into your own business. And so anti hustle really came out of, I paused my business. I was working as a marketing strategist and like the sales and marketing coordinator for a coach training company. So I paused all of the marketing in my own business to do client work. And when I relaunched my business, I was like, okay, I have the basics down, but I can't do what I just did again. So, how am I going to run a successful multi six figure business without doing all of the shit that I was doing? And how do I pass this information on to my clients? And so that's really how the anti hustle came to be, which was, what are you supposed to be focusing on at each stage of your business? What can you DIY? What do you need to prioritize? Like, what's a nice to have? What's a must have? And so, really, again, like passing that on to my community and to my clients so that they're doing the right things at the right time
Mm.
and that they're prioritizing their health, their rest, their play, their they're planning their work around their lives instead of like what we're taught is
Your
Monday through
life
Friday
around your
you're
work.
working. Yeah, and then Saturdays you get to enjoy your weekend, but you're so burnt out from the week, and then Sunday, and then it's Monday scaries or Sunday scaries, whatever. We're not doing that. So what I did then, and my business blew up. COVID hit, my business blew up, and but it blew up in a way that I was still resting, going on vacations, taking naps, going to the gym, taking care of myself. So that is really how things started to kind of play out over the years, was trial and error. I made lots of the errors so that my clients don't have
I
to.
understand. I understand.
Mhm.
I understand. My background is I ran two very successful allied health companies, and the second one I burnt myself out to the ground. So I fully
Yeah,
understand. And when I tell my clients, I'm like, I've done all this, so you don't have to. So you know.
absolutely.
And I'm like, don't worry about your website. That can come
Yeah,
later, because everyone gets stuck on a website, and I'm guilty of this, and your website, it doesn't matter these days. These days, it's like social media is your landing page because people
absolutely.
come and check if you
Absolutely.
exist, and it's
Yeah.
really interesting, that contrast, because back when I started my companies, we had to have a website because that's how everyone found you, because there wasn't
Mhm.
Facebook was there, but not really. No one really went on Facebook. We still had phone books, for goodness sake. People would look you up in the phone book. And and we used to take, I remember we were taking ads out in the white page. In Australia it's called the
Get
white
out.
pages, which is, do you have them in America too? The white, well, used
I
to.
mean, we had them like many years ago, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right. And all the young people are like, what are they talking about? The white pages? Okay, so for anyone too young to understand what we're talking about, it was this massive book like this, and it had all the different categories. So if you needed a plumber, you go to the section P and you'd look up plumbers, and then you start calling, and that's how you would find a plumber. Whereas these days we just go Google. But it was funny because I remember we got this invoice to go advertise them again. And I looked at my business partner. I'm like, we don't need this. And she's like, what are you talking about? I said, how many people find us in the white pages? I said, we're currently using them as as bookends or something like that. Like we don't need this anymore. And it was just,
Yeah.
just seeing that shift in businesses. And now it's, unfortunately, because I hate social media, but in saying that, I made peace with it to go back on there, because otherwise
Right.
that's how you connect with your people, right?
Mhm,
So
mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember
So
when we would see
yeah.
the phone book, we'd be like, "Ah, what are we supposed to do with this? Like, I'm just gonna put it right in the recycle. Like, what a waste of like, eventually, because of social media, it got to that point of like, what a waste of money and trees. What a waste of trees."
Like street directories. Did you have one of those too? It was like, what's a street directory? Before GPS and Google Maps, there was something called a street directory. And then there was where is, and you'd print out the directions so you could actually
Oh,
get there.
man. Yeah.
Anyway, we can be grateful for the advances in like, I have to say, GPS is very helpful,
Yeah.
and anyway, but we digress. But at the same point, I love that what you do is you're teaching people what they absolutely have to have, and
Mhm.
what's an option and what's a necessary. And I so agree with you. There's so many of these coaching schools and coaching businesses, and even, like people talking about crap that they've never actually lived through. Like,
Yeah.
there's so many people floating around saying, oh, I can make you a 6 or 7 figure business, but they've never done it themselves, or
Mhm,
they'll say, yeah, come and learn how to look after your health. And they are the epitome of the opposite of that.
mhm,
There's
mhm.
so many people who aren't living authentically. Whereas you've gone, no, I've been through the shit. I've been through the trenches. I have done this myself. I know what works and what doesn't work. Learn from me and take what you want and leave what you don't, kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah,
You can skip this whole part of business and still have a successful business. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's such a important reminder, because so often we look for the quick fix as well. Yeah. And we think, oh, this package is everything that we want. Actually, no. it's nothing that we want. It's just
And
wrapped in a pretty bow.
right, and, like, this is the thing, like, marketers are really good at their job,
Mhm.
that's why they're marketers, and so they're going to convince you that you need s just this is exactly what happened in B school, that you need a WordPress website, which anytime I'm like, "Absolutely not," because if you need to change anything, you have to hire your designer to change a page, like, just put it on Squarespace, just put it on Wix, like, do something, right?
Even GoDaddy now have amazing templates. You just plug it in.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Or, like,
Yeah.
get Flowdesk and use the landing pages of Flowdesk. Like, you don't even need, like, a proper website at this point yet, right? Like and so, like, this is exactly it because it's I mean, I didn't have a proper website made by a designer until I was about 6 years in around that. I had saved up the money. It was like a $10,000 project, like between all of the branding, the
Wow.
pictures, like it was like a proper, but I was making at that time, like was making close to $200,000 a year. And I wanted the outside of my business to match the inside. So my Squarespace website wasn't going to fly anymore, right? Like I wanted things to really be cohesive and match. And I had saved it up. I paid in cash. And what a lot of people are doing is they're putting it on credit, assuming
Mm.
that the website is going to get me hired and then I'm just going to be able to pay this off really quickly. And I can tell you that that is not what fucking happens. Because if you don't
Oh.
know who you're serving, if you don't know right? Like, no one gives a shit about your website.
Mm-mm. And that's the thing, like I have like all these courses that I made and no one, like I don't think I've sold a single one, which is so interesting. But the funny
Mhm.
thing was nothing's ever wasted. So when I
Yeah.
was writing my book, all the practices that I put in these courses, I was like, oh, I can just put them in the book now. So like
Love it.
right. So I didn't feel like it was a complete waste. And I know
Yeah.
at some point, some of those courses will hold the test of time and then I'll be able to sell them for a higher price and things like that. But at the same time, I was like, like I'd run master classes to pull people in and I'd record them. And then my guilty thing was I was giving it all away for free,
Mm.
and and then I was like, why aren't these people coming working with me? And I'm like, and then I got a coach and he's like, you just gave them all the good stuff for free. Why are they going to come and pay you? And I was like,
Yeah, there's
oh,
definitely art to it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Whoops, so it's but this is the thing too. This is why having a coach or a support person or whatever you want to call yourself, like you said at the moment the word is coach. Next
Mm.
week it might be mentor, whatever. In the end it's nice to have someone that's already walked the steps that you're going to go walk through because then
Right.
you can model to them. You want to find someone that's 10 steps ahead of you at least so that you can have
Mhm.
someone to be inspired by, but also someone that's still evolving. Like you said, once you got to that point, okay, I'm ready to up my brand now because I've upped myself. Now my brand
Mhm.
needs to reflect me. So then, then you can coach your clients as they evolve to that stage on how to
Absolutely.
brand themselves. And, I feel that's something very authentic about you, Shannon. You're like, this
Thank
is
you.
me. This is what I've done. Don't do this, do this. Let's keep walking together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then, like, as things started advancing too, like one of the major things that was missing from so what year did you start your businesses?
The allied health one, the first one I bought into was 2010. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because I started mine in 2015.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm sure you can agree, like, there were no conversations about embodiment or somatics or nervous system regulation. It was just Gary V. I'll sleep when I'm dead. Business, business, business.
Well, I was in allied health and it was even worse. So it was just like,
Really?
yeah. And it was really interesting. Place that I worked into, it was very low socioeconomic. We had a lot of kids coming through like foster care systems, that sort of thing, and
Mhm.
everything. But the things that I learned working in that environment and working in those cultures, and I was always very good at seeing the gap in the market. So I'm like, hey, We need clients. And this is before we have this big funding system in Australia now, but it was before funding. So you actually had to hustle to get clients in your door, right? Because they had
Gotcha.
to see the worth of actually paying you for your service. Whereas now it's like, oh, I've got funding. Here's all the money. You know?
Mhm.
But I was like, these people, like, and I always think, if that funding's pulled, half the people who have started businesses wouldn't know what to do because they don't know how to actually build a business and pull clients in, because they've got this funding. It's really interesting. Yeah,
Interesting. Interesting.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I agree with you. There was nothing to, it was all mindset. It
Yeah.
wasn't about the energetic side of things. And this is
Mhm.
the biggest thing I teach my clients too. It's like it's 80% energy and 20% mindset. Like you have to actually work with the subconscious because your
Mhm.
conscious is just doing what your subconscious is telling you, but you don't even realize that. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And how important it is. Well, one of the things too that I was quite surprised about when I started my business was nobody was talking about or had even mentioned how big of a personal development experience being a business owner was going to be. Like, imagine the shock. I was like, I just want to do funnels. What is happening here? Like, why are you crying? And I didn't know how to coach people because and this was where the personal development stuff comes in, right? Where I was like, I'm not comfortable with you crying, so I want to make you stop crying as soon as possible. So we're just going to do whatever we can. Like, I don't want to touch on this. Let's go straight into strategy, right? Because I wasn't comfortable with my own emotions, letting myself have my own feelings. So this is where all of my childhood trauma starts to come in. And I'm like,
Mm.
I just want to run a business. Like, why am I having to do like basically therapy so I can run my damn business?
Because your business is a reflection of you. That's why.
Ah. So if you're new to entrepreneurship, surprise, surprise. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
It was quite a wake up call, but it was. And so with my sobriety, I wanted a career that held me accountable. I wanted a job because, like, by that time, I was working at the yacht club on the island. I mean, that's great. It was like
Why don't you
great. Like,
surround yourself with more alcohol? Why don't you go
yeah,
for
right. It was intense. But I wanted something that would hold me accountable, that would inspire me to rise and to stay healthy and making good decisions. And this is it, right? Like, there's so many of my clients who've gotten sober, who've found recovery, who've cut down on their drinking while we've been working together. And so that's one of the things that has kept me going and sober, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is like when I find when you have to make yourself accountable, and it's almost like this is this beautiful merriment of a selfish desire and a purpose driven desire, right?
Mm.
Because you wanted to have something that kept you accountable, but at the same
Mhm.
time, you were serving people doing that, and
Yeah.
you found the perfect space in the middle that served
Mhm.
you, served them, and served everybody. And then you
Yeah.
got to grow and pull in your somatic work as well, which you do,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
adding in all these things. And as you evolved and learnt more about you, then you could coach your clients to evolve too. Yeah.
Yeah, and it ties in because, like, a lot of my work too is around storytelling and sharing. Like, even if I didn't have a business, I'm a storyteller. Like, I have a big mouth and tell all the things. And it just so works that it brings clients in and brings people in, because of my story. And so that just when you're sharing those parts of you and when that's how you really
That's what
start to
makes you unique.
attract your people and so
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily coaching people to recovery, but they know that when they come to me that I am sober and that they've been thinking about, they've been looking at their drinking habits. And so they know that they're safe to come to me and ask questions like, you know, how do you go out? Or, can you hold me accountable to not drinking this week? Or, like, I'd love to start doing this. And so it's cool how the different parts, like when you share the different parts of you in your stories and online, that you really start to attract people who are your people. And
Align.
it just makes business way more fun.
Yeah, and that's such an important point too, because I feel so often, especially if you're in a scarcity mindset, you want to just say yes to everybody, and don't do that. I was doing a masterclass today, and I was like, do not take on the people that are already annoying you before you even begin to work with them, because they are not going to be your dream clients. They are going to be your nightmare clients. And, from years running businesses, I learned this very early on. Like, even I would have clients go, oh, I just can't do that time. And when I was still green, I'd be like, oh yeah, let me see what I can do. I can move these
Let me
clients
bend over
around to
backwards
fit
for you. Hold
in.
on.
Yeah. And then they don't show up to the freaking appointment. And I'm like, what? I was like, nah. And then it didn't take me long to catch on. And then I would say to them, this is all I've got. If you want to see me and not one of my staff, this is all I have. Oh, okay, we can make that work. I'm like, great, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, putting you in, And it sounds really harsh, but at the same time, energetically, it's setting up your boundaries, right? It's setting like, these are my expectations. This is who I am. I am an important person. If you need to book in with me, these are the times I've got, So, the worst thing you can do is go, oh, what works for you? And I've had to pull myself back from doing that too. Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. And as we start to finish our time together, Shannon, I asked the guests that come on the show, if you could heal or change something in the world, what would it be?
Oh, man. Oh, I'm not good with put on the spot questions. If I could heal or change anything about the world,
yes,
what would it be? I mean, immediately the thought comes is racism and the superiority of races, and how harmful that is just across the board and all around the world.
Yeah. It's so funny because I was talking about this today, and I say, all lives matter. And I feel that that's such an important thing to remember, that we're actually all equal. We're all, in the end, we're all going to die the same way. Our body's going to decompose in the ground. We're all equal. And like you said, that if racism wasn't there, it'd be such a different world that we were living in, right?
Yeah.
So
that is I understand the concept, and also that phrase is
it's interesting.
quite problematic.
Yep. And I guess, where can people find you if they want to come and work with you, or they want to follow you or connect with you? Where can they come check out Shannon?
Yeah, so you can find me at antihustlebiz.com, and I'm on Instagram at the Shannon Whaley.
Beautiful. And I'll make sure to put those in the show notes for you. And thank you so much for sharing your journey, Shannon, and having a great time. This has been so much fun.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you for listening to Willow Healing Matters, the podcast. We have so much love and gratitude that you have taken the time out of your day to empower you on your healing journey. The views shared by the person being interviewed might not necessarily reflect that of the host and should be used at your own discernment. Trust what resonates for you and follow your heart and soul guidance. If you have any underlying medical conditions or mental health issues, please consult with your healthcare provider before pursuing any of the recommendations. Likewise, you can always contact the person being interviewed to find out more information. This can be found in the show notes. Remember to activate, align, heal, empower, and find love in everything that you do.